What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I'm really excited to be starting a subscription for this podcast. Now, that doesn't mean that you need a subscription to listen to this podcast, but the benefits of getting a subscription are no ads like this one, and a shout out on each episode, as well as knowing that your money is going towards doing something good. This money is not meant to go to me. Some of it is meant to help me maintain this podcast and keep getting guests on, but most of it is meant to go towards providing school supplies towards kids in need. It's my commitment to put $3 of every monthly subscription towards providing school supplies to kids in need and helping them achieve their goals and dreams as well. This is a passion of mine. This is something that I really have been pursuing. This is why I have started all this, the podcasting, the books, everything like that, was to give opportunities to other people. So I'm very excited to be able to do this now. The subscription is $4.99 a month, so nothing crazy, less one cup of coffee a month, that sort of thing. But it's very exciting, and it's going towards something that I am really passionate about and believe in. And I hope you enjoy the benefits of being a premium subscriber. There'll also be discounts and things along the way that I'll make available to people as time moves on and as this continues to grow. The link to subscribe is in the description below, so check that out. There's also a link to donate towards the mission of providing school supplies to those in need, so you can do that as well. Thanks again, and enjoy the episode. What's up, everyone? Kyle here. Welcome to episode 90 of Our Travel Experiences podcast. Pretty wild that we're at episode 90 now. It just amazes me every 5 episodes that I'm still going with this and still, getting to talk with some amazing people and meet a lot of great people from around the world and share these stories with all of you. Today, I'm going to. I realized that I didn't ever talk about my 100-mile ultramarathon that I did. I think, that's a different form of travel, different, pursuit that I really worked hard towards for a long time, and finally was able to make it happen earlier this year. So I thought I'd talk about that today. But before I jump into that, I wanted to ask you, and you can message me on Instagram or respond below. I think there's like some sort of poll on here. I'm not sure how all of that works, or just reach out to me any way you know how. You can email me as well at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. But let me know what you want me to do for episode 100. It's only 10 episodes away. It's coming up quick. It should be early December when that is going to come out. So I'd love to get your ideas of what I should do for episode 100, because that's a huge milestone to hit. So I have some ideas that I've been thinking about, but I want to hear what thoughts you have first before I decide on anything. So with that being said, let's jump into the 100-mile ultramarathon that I did. So this had been a goal of mine for a long time. I would say probably a year and a half at least. It was a goal after I had run a few marathons, half marathons, all that. I was like, you know what? I want to try this. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make it happen. I started getting into ultras last year in 2022. Did a 50K, did some longer races, and then I did a 50-mile race earlier in the year, which I talked about, I believe, in episode 69, which is crazy. That was already so long ago. So yeah, I had signed up for this race early in 2023. I was looking for one that was close to where I live, close to Yakima, Washington, with the hope that I wouldn't have to travel too far or worry about taking stuff on a plane and all that, and just be able to honestly be able to convince family and friends to help me out, because I knew I was going to need some help with this to make it all work. And we just wanted to find a little bit easier one in terms of elevation gain, in terms of that sort of thing, I wanted to just test it out because I'd never run this far before. Honestly, in training, and this is bad if any of you are ultramarathoners, I knew I wasn't going to have enough time to be able to get the mileage that I wanted to when I was running and training for this. So I had to kind of modify a little bit. And honestly, I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to like really increase my mileage to do this 100 miles. So I knew that I wasn't going to be like as prepared as I wanted to be. And I just had no idea what my body was going to do after I hit 50 miles, which is the longest I had ever run. So I found this really nice one. It ended up being an amazing experience. But I found this race that's in Washington State. It's called the Strawberry Fields Forever. Shout out to them. They put on a great race. It's down in North Bonneville, Washington, which is right along the Columbia River. Probably take you half an hour to 45 minutes to get into Portland, Oregon from there. So pretty close to Portland, down on the Columbia River, which is beautiful. That whole area is beautiful if you've ever driven through the Columbia Gorge as you're traveling to Portland or traveling east. And so I was like, this is perfect. They had different races available. They had the 100K, 50K, 50 mile, that sort of thing. The elevation gain was minimal. I think in total it was a little bit under 6,000 feet of elevation gain over the 100 miles, which is basically nothing in the grand scheme of things. And so it was also a loop, which was going to make it easy for family and friends to help out too. That way they didn't necessarily have to be there all the time. And they could kind of get a sense of when I would be coming around through the loop. So it was 16 laps around this just over a 10K loop. So 6.2 miles, a little bit more than that to do the entire loop. Was at this, I think it used to be called Strawberry Island, hence the name Strawberry Fields Forever. There's a lot of strawberries out there, strawberry bushes. And it was, there's some housing there, and then some really nice houses. And then there's a soccer field complex, which is where the start and finish was. It was where kind of everything was set up. And then we went out basically more onto the island and did a loop. Part of it was on the hill that's there, which is where all the elevation gain was for the most part. And then you kind of run down through a forest, and then you run along the river. There's a recreational area where people can launch their boat and go fishing in the Columbia or just fish off the shore. And then we would run back into a different forest, and then we would make the loop back into the soccer field complex. So it was a really scenic loop. So we, where I was set up, there was like a little garden, and there was a bunch, all the 100 miler people had their tents set up and cars and whatnot. Everything was set up there, which was just not too far away. I guess it was probably about maybe 0.2 of a mile into the loop is where it was set up. So you would finish a lap, and then you would be about 0.2 miles into your next lap when you would come to when I would come to my tent in my dad's truck, which was there. So I'll share more about that in the how it was set up and everything in just a second. But let's talk a little bit about the logistics of how this happened. So as I had been training for months and months to make this happen, like I said, I ran a 50 miler in Washington State up by North Bend in April of 2023 as sort of a training run to see what my body would do, and held up pretty good through that, and was like, you know what, I know I can get 100 miles just a few months later. And so I kept training. Kind of got down to it. I was really busy coaching throughout the spring and everything. And so I didn't do a whole lot of planning until early in June. And the race was at the end of June of 2023. But I was reaching out to, to my parents, to my friends to see, if anyone would be willing to, give up one of their weekends and help me out with with making this happen. And so it ended up being my dad and my friend Brad were helping me out. So when I booked a hotel so the race started Saturday morning at 9 a.m. So I booked a hotel for Friday night. So my dad and I, we went down. We actually stayed in Cascade Locks, Oregon, which is just across the Columbia River from North Bonneville. So we stayed in a hotel there, just pretty chill. I had Olive Garden on the way there for dinner to carbo load, and then we got to the hotel, ate some more carbs, and then I did my stretching routine and everything, and then we just went to bed. We got up early the next morning, and I got ready to go. Got all my stuff, all my gear set. Got ready. Did all my morning routine stuff, and then we went to this really nice coffee shop, and I can't remember the name of it now, but it was a cute little coffee shop there in Cascade Locks, just around the corner from our hotel. We walked there, and we got I got breakfast. Got a little bit of coffee in. I always need a little bit of coffee in the morning, and got some more food in me. Got a good burrito, sausage breakfast burrito in, and then we finished up there, and then we walked back to the hotel, got everything ready to go, and headed out to the course. I had prepared some sandwiches in advance, so some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, had some Gatorade, some water, liquid IV, had a lot of that ready to go. So I was basically as prepared as I was going to be. I had new shoes that I had broken in, some new Hoka trail runners, and so I was like, we'll see what happens. If I have to bow out, I have to bow out, but my goal was just basically to finish. So that was my focus going in, was just keep going, just finish that 100 miles. It would be amazing if I could finish under 24 hours, but I just want to finish this thing and say that I ran 100 miles. So we got there early in the morning. I think we got to the soccer field around a little after 8, like 8:15 or so. We got the tent set up, got all the gear set up in there. I got my bib number, which I put on my shorts. Got everything settled in. My dad took off. He went back to the hotel to to sleep a little bit more and relax a little bit, and then got ready to go for the race. Oh no, my dad stayed for the start of it. But there's quite a few people that were there. I thought it was a good amount of people. Obviously, all the races started at the same time, so not everyone was doing the same race. I found out later that there was 30 people, I believe, who started the race with the goal of running 100 miles. That's not how many finished, but so there's 30 of us, which I found out later. I didn't want to know how many people or what the standings were or anything throughout the entire race. I didn't want to know until afterwards, because I didn't want that to get into my head and mess with my mental state of just finishing the dang race. So we started the race at the soccer field. The race director, which I can't remember her name now, but she was amazing, super great director. She gave us a little pep talk and then said go, and we all headed out. It was pretty hectic at the start. So after we made the loop, so I went by my tent at the start, and then we went out onto the trail. As soon as you go out onto the trail, it was a big uphill. So I took that really slow, had to with all the people that were there. And each lap that I did, so all 16 times, I basically just kind of walked up that hill, speed walked it, because I didn't want to burn up my legs on that hill, which it wouldn't have made that much of a difference anyways. So I wanted to save my energy for the downhills and other parts of the course. So we headed out. My first lap was pretty quick. I think I did it just under an hour. I was trying to pace myself, go slow, because normally if I'm doing a 10K, which is what the loop was, I could do it in 40 to 45 minutes, and I didn't want to run that fast because there's no way I could have sustained that for 100 miles. So I was really forcing myself to slow down. I was still had some adrenaline going and everything, so I ran, I think it was like 57 minutes or 55 minutes for that first lap there. But it was a beautiful morning. It wasn't too hot at all. I didn't have a jacket on, but I just had a t-shirt. But it was perfect. It wasn't too hot. The view was incredible. So when you get to the top of that hill there at the start, you can see everything. So you got the Columbia River that's flowing down right there. You got the hills on the other side of the river, which is Oregon, and they looked beautiful. This was June, so there was still lots of colors and the flowers and everything that was around. You could see there's a dam up a ways away, and then you could see the mountains on the Washington side. It was just a very, very scenic view. Really, really beautiful. You can see those pictures on my Instagram and online. And just a great view. I was just like, wow, this is a great place to go for a run. I really, really enjoyed it. And then, so the first lap, about an hour, came around, just got a quick little drink of water. I think I might have dropped something off in my tent, but I didn't really stop. And then went out on the second lap. That second lap was like just over an hour, I think like an hour and 5 minutes or something like that. Again, I was trying to pace myself, stick to like 10 to 15 minute miles, the best that I could. Not too bad of a start there. And then it started kind of clearing out a little bit. I think there's a 10K race as well, so people had finished that. And so there's a little bit less people. People had gotten more spread out along the way. And so it was kind of a nice, I was not necessarily by myself. I mean, I still was seeing a lot of people, but I was kind of just by myself out there. So then I finished the third lap, which I think was another like 1:15 time. So right kind of where I wanted to be. I wanted to be right around I wanted to be averaging like an hour and a half per lap. And so, I think by the time I had finished the third lap, my dad had come back, parked his truck, just did a quick little liquid IV into a water bottle. And that was it. Didn't stop for too long. Next lap came around, same thing. Everything was good. It was starting to get hot by this point. By the fourth lap, I was getting pretty warm. That 9 a.m. start time that was really cool started turning into a really hot afternoon. And something about the Columbia Gorge areas that have what's called it could be what's called like a heat dome. Essentially, because it's a gorge, the heat can kind of get trapped down inside of the gorge, which can make it super hot down in there. Luckily, it didn't get too crazy, but the afternoon was definitely a lot warmer. I think it got up into the 80s, and after being 25 miles into it, I was getting pretty hot and tired, and so that I want to say it was the fifth lap, the fifth loop that I did was a pretty brutal one. I was getting hot and tired and just the adrenaline had worn off. The excitement had worn off a little bit, and I was not having as much fun as I did the first lap. So let's see. I made it through another lap, 6 laps. So it would have been, I think when I got to what would have been 7 or 8 laps. So I was in the 40s in terms of mileage. I went and I stopped and changed my shoes, or not changed my shoes. I changed my shirt, and yeah, just kind of like reset for a little bit. By this point, I was coming around and just sitting down outside my tent on the grass and just trying to take some pressure off my feet, relax for a second, get some as much electrolytes and food in as I could. At this point, it was hard to eat. People always ask me what did you eat while you were out there running for so long. I'm like, honestly, I can't eat that much because my stomach gets weird and it's hard to shove food down. So I had some like a protein shake with me. I was able to eat a little bit of a sandwich, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. At the aid station at the start of the race, there was 2 aid stations. So one at the start and finish, which had a whole bunch of stuff. You could get actual meals there. Like they had hamburgers, they had potatoes, they had candy and cookies and all sorts of things. And then there was a small aid station that just had basically water and Gatorade halfway through the lap on the other side. And so I would just honestly just drink a lot of liquid IV, a lot of Gatorade, some water, and then I think I had a protein bar, had some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, a little bit of candy, I guess, but nothing too crazy. And then by that time, my friend Brad had made his way down to the race, and he had gotten some Gatorade for me, which was super helpful. He got me. He went and got some Coke, Coca-Cola, which I was able to drink a little bit of that. That actually is helpful. I know I had some Mountain Dew. At some point, the aid station had some Mountain Dew and some Coke that you could drink. And then, I remember, I think it was probably lap 8 or 9, as the sun was starting to set a little bit, where I got, I tried to eat, it took me 15 minutes to eat a slice of pizza because my mouth was so dry and I was just like not hungry at all. It was painful to eat that slice of pizza and drink a little bit of Coke. And then I think it was when I had hit 50 miles, or it might have been just before then, the lap before then, I cramped, my calf cramped, which is not a good sign, especially when you got at least 50 more miles to go. I was like, oh no, that's not good. But I was able to fight through it. I got through that cramp and in my calf, and then was able to keep going. So I was doing 120 laps, 1.5 hour laps, somewhere in there, some 140s, and then the sun started setting, which was nice. I was ready for that relief from the heat. It cooled down, which made it a lot easier. And then I was able to keep going. And so the sun started setting. I think, gosh, that would have been around 9 p.m. So I was, I think, 9 or 10 laps in at that point. And then I ran one lap. No, let's see. I did the first lap in the dark. So I had finished, I think it was lap 9. And I had come around and I had been actually texting my friend Brad throughout that lap and was like, hey, I'm getting kind of tired and bored and, seeing the same stuff by that time when I was 50, 60 miles into it was not as much fun as it was at the start. I was getting really bored and just wanted to, break it up a little bit. So my friend Brad had offered to run a lap with me. And so I was like, yep, let's do this next lap together. And so that was the first lap in the dark. And so we had our headlamps on, and that lap was super helpful because I was tired, and Brad kept pacing me, kept going when I said, hey, let's run. And it forced me to run more, run faster. And then he was just talking to me through the whole lap, which was really helpful. So we made it through the lap, And I think that was one of my better ones, is like 120, 115, somewhere in there. And yeah, it was funny afterwards. My Brad said that he was tired from that lap just by itself, and I was like, I did 16 of those. But anyways, it was funny. It was really helpful that he ran that lap with me, especially first one in the dark. And that was maybe that it might have been the second one in the dark. I don't know. I can't remember for sure. And that kind of time frame all runs together because I was really tired at that point. So yeah. Anyways, he ran. It was for sure like it was after midnight, like 1 a.m. when we did that lap. I want to say about midnight. And then
What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I am super excited to share that my audiobook version of Travel Tips is up now. You can find it on Audible, Libro.fm, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Go check it out and buy a copy. It also has 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes of bonus commentary that isn't in the actual book, so that's a little added bonus. But go check it out. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Yeah, I ran the next one in the dark by myself. That was around like 2 a.m, 1:30, 2 a.m, and that one was not as much fun. I didn't have my headphones in for that because I wanted to be able to hear things. This is a recreational area. It's a natural nature spot, and so there's animals out there. There could be bears out there. There could be things out there that aren't great if I run into, especially when I'm 70 miles in and exhausted and can't run that fast anymore. And so made it through that lap, and then it was when I got done with that lap that I was exhausted. So that would have been, I want to say, number 10 or 11 at that point. And I was just beat. I had been up for like 20 hours at this point. So it was about 3 a.m. When I finished. I'd been up for about 20 hours, and I was exhausted. At this point, I had run 70 miles. I was or close to 70 miles. I had burned a lot of calories, had not been able to replenish as much as I wanted to because of the whole food situation, and was just ready to lay down and take a break. And so my dad was sleeping in his truck, and so I woke him up when I got back and said, hey, I was also cold at this point too. It got really cold out there, and I wasn't running fast enough to like really sweat and keep my body temperature up. And so I was like, I need to lay in your car for a second and get warm, a little bit warmed up for a second, and and just like not be on my feet. And I tried to sleep for a few minutes in the truck, could not sleep, could not relax enough. So I got out on the ground, laid down on the ground, and I don't think I actually fell asleep, but I closed my eyes for a couple more minutes. I set an alarm for just 10 minutes, but I got up before then. And yeah, that was rough. And I was like, Dad, I need you to do this lap with me. And so he had injured himself or something, but I was like, let's just walk it, like speed walk this, because I don't really feel like running too much right now. So we walked together for we made it through like half the lap, and I kind of got my second wind again. The sun was starting to come up, so it was like almost 5 o'clock in the morning. No, I guess it would have been a little bit earlier. Yeah, 4:35 in the morning. Sun, it was starting to get a little bit lighter, and I was like, I'm gonna start running this again about halfway through. And my dad's like, yeah, I can't keep up. So he went back, and I finished that lap. And so I made it through kind of that low point there. And then the next lap I was able to do pretty well. As the sun was rising, it was starting to, I got to see a beautiful sunrise out there basically by myself. At this point, most people had finished from the other races. There were still some 100K people and 100-mile people out there running, but there wasn't too many too many people left at that point. And yeah, so then I did, I think I was like 12 or 13 laps in by the time the sun rose at 5:36 in the morning. I guess it would have been like 5:30 ish. And yeah, then the next few laps were pretty good. I was still feeling all right, making it through each lap in hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes. And then I would rest for 15, 20 minutes, just sit down and relax. And my dad and Brad would help me out, get whatever I needed. And then I would get up and keep going. And so, let's see. It got to like lap 14 was okay. Lap 15 was okay. I made it through lap 15 and it was like, okay, I only got one left. Like, this is the last time seeing all this scenery that I was tired of seeing at this point. It started getting hot again at that point. This was like 9 in the morning, something like that. And I was like, I just got to make it through this one more lap. And so I was going the best that I could. At this point, like, it was hard. My quads were on fire, especially. My whole legs were just achy and hurt. But it was really my quads that hurt the most, which I thought was kind of interesting, actually. But like every step hurt really bad. And I was exhausted at this point. I'd been up for 28 hours, 26 hours, 27 hours, something like that at this point. So I'd been up for over a day now, with basically no sleep, and I, had wrecked my body through all this running. And so that lap was really, really hard. The first half of it, I was doing okay. I was running pretty good, but I had to walk a lot. I did walk a fair amount throughout this entire race, but I was still doing okay. And then I got to the halfway point and just was totally wrecked. It was, every step was torture. I was doing like 1 or 2 minute runs as best I could, more like a jog. And then I had to walk for a couple minutes and just was totally beat. And then I got to mile 99 and I said, it's only one more mile left, but it felt like forever. I was like, man, 1 mile is a long ways. And there was right about 1 mile left. There was a little spot. It was in this forest, where I was. And then right about the 1 mile marker, to get back to the start and finish, there's a little place that, you could sit down. There's a little like bench and covered area. So it was like a nature trail that people could walk on. And I sat down there. That was the first time I'd sat down while I was out on the course, not at my tent. Was at mile 99. And I did not want to get back up again. I was exhausted. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. 1 mile left. Like, it's a long ways. It's a long ways to go. And I just wanted to lay down and go to sleep and, and die, honestly. And it just so happened that I had been sitting there for like a minute maybe. And this lady had come through and she was running. I think she was doing the 100K. So this was her last mile too. And she was like, hey, are you okay? And I was like delirious. The ground was starting to be like, it was uneven anyways, because it's, out there in nature. There's rocks and all sorts of stuff going on. I fell once on a rock during one of the laps in the night. And like the ground was just like uneven. Like I was starting to get loopy. Like if you've ever been really drunk, that's kind of what it felt like. It just like things were not clicking in my brain right at this point. And she said, hey, are you okay? And I looked up and I'm sure she saw like someone who was on death's door. And I was like, yeah, I'm okay. And so she was like, okay. And she kept going. And I was like, all right, I can do this. She kind of gave me a second win there just by kind of snapping me back into reality a little bit. And so I kept going. And through this time, these last couple miles, I've been reaching out to my dad because this was taking a long time to get through this last lap. I think the last lap ended up being just over 2 hours. little over 2 hours. It was really slow. And so we made it. Or I'd been texting my dad, and he's like, are you doing okay? Like, do you need help? Blah blah blah. I'm like, no, like I'm going really slow. Like it's I'll get there. And so he actually came out. I made it up. There's one little hill not too far after that bench. So about 0.8 miles left, 0.9 miles left. You go up this hill, which is super painful. But my dad had come and he had walked backwards along the loop and met me at the bottom of that hill. And the lady had gone up ahead of us. And so he was like, I'm going to do the last little bit with you. And so we walked up that hill. We were walking along the trail there together. I tried to jog just a little bit, but I was like, every step was walking through concrete. And so we just walked basically all the way to where the loop ends, and you get to the last like point, like maybe 0.1, so 1/10 of a mile. And Dad's like, all right, I'm going to go up ahead. And so I couldn't walk as fast as him anymore. And so he went up to the finish line. And in my head, the whole time I was like, you know what, I got to go across this finish line running. And so I walked until like 0.07 left. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to run this. And at this point, Brad was there waiting for me. And so, he ran a little bit and then stopped and videoed and all that, took a video of me finishing and whatever. But, I ran that last like 0.07, 0.06 and got across the finish line. The race director there was waiting for me. That lady had just finished, ahead of me and everything. And so I stopped, made it, put my arms up a little ways. It was all I could do to do that. I was totally exhausted, and honestly, like I thought I'd feel more elated and everything finishing, but honestly, I was just so exhausted that I was just ready to go to sleep. But the race director gave me a big hug. She gave me my 100-mile belt buckle, and told me congrats and all that, and took some pictures with my dad and Brad, and all of that. And then we went and grabbed a couple of things, snacks from the table there. Went to the bathroom really quick, and then I can't remember what my dad and Brad were saying, but I was like, nope, let's just go home. I'm ready to go. And then they we had to get back to the truck, and so I had to walk another like 0.1 miles, which was torture, to get back to the truck. And that was painful. I got in the truck and basically immediately went to sleep. It was brutal, and I was feeling a little nauseous at that point too. The last lap was really like nauseous and just awful. But I made it. I finished just over 26 and a half hours. It was 26 hours, 30 minutes, and 30 seconds, which wasn't under 24 hours, which was one of my goals, but it was, I finished it, and I found out afterwards that I finished 7th out of 30. So I got 7th place, and actually only 12 people actually finished the 100-mile race. So I was one of 12 people to finish that. I got 7th. Pretty crazy. The guy that got first was like 18:45 or something like that. So I lost by almost 8 hours, which is insane to think about. In the grand scheme of things, wasn't really, that much time difference, per mile, but, equates to a big amount after 100 miles. But that was the 100-mile race. And then we drove back, got some McDonald's on the way back, when we drove through Goldendale, a little town in South Central Washington, and, was able to barely eat that. My stomach was still pretty messed up at that point. And then we made it back and went to my grandparents' house. And I actually had to drive back to my house from there, but stopped and talked to my grandparents a little bit. It was like all I could do to walk into the living room there. It was a long ways for me. Every step was painful. And then I was able to drive home barely, and got home and immediately went and took a nap, and spent the next 24 hours essentially recovering. Ordered some Red Robin to eat, which was amazing. I had like 3,000 calories over a short amount of time, and recovered from that. And then honestly, I was ready. I was good to go by Monday night, Tuesday morning. I had basically recovered by then, had caught up on sleep and everything. And by Wednesday, I forced myself to relax on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I was back in the gym working on other goals. So pretty wild experience. I don't I don't know even how to describe all the feelings that I went through. I went through so many highs and lows throughout that race. The first few laps, I'm on top of the world, feeling good. Everything feels good. And then that adrenaline kind of wears off and you go into the depths of despair. Felt awful, felt tired. And then, I'd come around and the next lap would be, on top of the world again. And just kind of back and forth throughout it. And just slowly, like I just got more and more tired as I went, but could still hit those high points and everything. And just pretty wild. It's wild what doing that to your body, what running 100 miles as fast as you can, essentially, it messes with the chemical, the chemical factory that is our body. And it's amazing how what you think about, how you feel, the things that happen to your body. I didn't have any major issues while I was out there, which I was super grateful for. I was worried that I might pull a muscle or, like break something or twist my ankle or, have something go wrong with my knee or whatever. But none of that happened. I just, like I said, I had really, really intense, the most pain I've ever felt in my life, in my legs. My quads were just, I wanted to rip my quads out of my body because they were really painful. Hamstrings hurt, calves hurt, my feet kind of hurt a little bit. But other than that, I mean, my knees felt fine, which was crazy. I don't know how that happened. You have to ask someone that knows the body why that happened. My knees felt great pretty much the whole time. I mean, they were sore afterwards, but I got one little tiny blood blister on I think on my left foot, on my big toe. But other than that, didn't have any blisters. I did chafe a little bit in my upper thighs and then a little bit on my chest. But other than that, didn't really have any issues. While I was out there, one of my secrets, and I should have taken another one, but I took Imodium before I started the race because I know that running can mess with your gastrointestinal system, and luckily I didn't have any real issues with that. I did go to the bathroom a few times. Basically every lap I would go number one. And sometimes out on the course, I would, pull off into the forest and go to the bathroom really quick, especially in the middle of the night. And then, but yeah, I only, had to go poop 3 times while I was out there. The last one was as the sun was coming up, and that one I should have taken an Imodium. I debated it. I should have taken it before I had gone out on that lap. I should have done it the lap before, actually. That one was not good. I barely made it to the bathroom there. But other than that, didn't have any major issues that way. It was all pretty good. I mean, honestly, everything turned out as good as I could have hoped for. I really didn't expect my body to hold up that well, or for me to make it through as good as I did with as little issues as I did. So really, really grateful for that. And I met so many nice people along the way too. There was a guy out there who was doing the lap backwards each time. He had to be probably in his 80s, I think, is what we found out. And he was a local. He's part of the running club there that was putting this on, and he was out there, doing the best that he could. And he would stop and take pictures of people running as they were running by him. So I passed that guy, 6 or 7 times at least, with him going the other way. And every time I'd give him a little thumbs up, and I actually got some cool pictures from him, which was really cool. But yeah, it was just like inspiring to see him out there, trekking along. He was out there for the duration of the event. I think the time limit that people had was 30 hours to finish all of the races. So like I said, I was out there 26 and a half hours and was awake for 30 hours, just about. So that was that was a lot, but it was just inspiring to see that guy out there doing it and just keep pushing himself. I think he ended up finishing 50K, which was 30 miles, 31 miles, which is incredible at his age, and to do it, while he's taking pictures of everyone. So, I would say good job to people as they pass them or they would pass me. Met some cool people in the camp there. The race director was amazing. Everyone was super helpful and friendly. Along the way, it was just, I highly recommend it. If you're interested in getting into ultras, this was a really good one to do. Not too much elevation gain. It's a loop, so you can, if you need to bail out, you can just cut back through the loop to get back to the start pretty easily. And it was great. I really enjoyed the experience as much as I could. But yeah, that was the 100 miles. Made it back home Sunday afternoon after I'd finished, and recovered and everything, and got back into it just a couple days later. But that was a huge accomplishment for me. Something that I'd worked really hard towards. Something that I was a bucket list thing that I wanted to check off. And I could say I did it now. And people still ask me about it, still talk to me about it. It was wild. And like every race that I've done, I say, oh, I'm never going to do that again. I just wanted to run a marathon once. And that's how this all started, just to say I finished a marathon. And I got addicted to it. And I've done, way too many marathons now, over 10. And I said I was like, I just want to do 100 miles once and never do it again. But after I had recovered a couple days, I was like, you know what, that was really fun, and I think I would try to do that again. I definitely want to try to do it again and get under 24 hours. That would be a focus now, not just finishing. And anyways, my dad and I were talking about there's 200-mile races out there. We're both fans of David Goggins, which is how I kind of got into this. Listening to David Goggins and all the crazy runs that he's done, all the crazy adventures he's been on. Also, David Goggins kept me going when when I was struggling out there. I was just thinking about him and his mental toughness when I was struggling during the race. But there's 200-mile races out there. My dad's like, oh, you should try it. You should do a 200-mile race. I had a lot of fun helping with the 100-mile. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. 200 miles is a lot more than 100. So we'll see. So that may be something I do in the future too. We'll see. It's all kind of up in the air. At the moment, these last few months I've been working on other goals. I got some other things coming up the rest of the year, but come the start of the new year, I'll really look into what I want to do for the year of 2024, and that might be a goal of mine is to do 200 miles. We'll see. But yeah, anyways, I guess while I was out there thinking about David Goggins, I did listen to him a little bit, but I had my headphones most of the time. I listened to it most of the time while I was out there. I listened to audiobooks. I listened to music. I listened to some podcasts. And then there's some laps where I just didn't listen to anything. But I think while I was out there, I was listening to one of the books in the Terminal List series, which is a great series if you're interested in warfare, in and that sort of thing. Really interesting. And that's also on Amazon Prime or Prime Video. They have the first season of the TV show version of it, adaptation of it, which is really cool. So I think Chris Pratt is the one that is the star in that. But great book series for sure. Highly recommend it. Yeah, it's great. Great series. I think there's 6 of them. And then I listened to my audio book, which was kind of trippy, but enjoyed listening to to my audiobook, which you can get on Amazon as well. And or you can just reach out to me and I'll get you a copy of the book as well. And then I listened to lots of music. So I listened to all sorts of music, and I was interested in all sorts of music while I was out there. I also listened to podcasts. I know I listened to an episode of the Lex Friedman podcast. I listened to at least one episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. There might have been another podcast to listen to in there that I don't remember. So yeah, that was it. I guess if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me about it. But that was my 100-mile experience. I burned my watch. My watch died a couple times throughout, so I don't have 100% accurate readings, but I burned close to 15,000 calories. I lost 7 pounds, which is mostly water weight, and took about 180,000 steps over that time, a little more than 180,000 steps. And that was that was my stats. It was pretty insane numbers, to say the least. So we'll see where running takes me in the future, but it was a great time being out there. I got to see a really cool part of Washington State that I hadn't got to see really and experience, and met so many great people, and just gave me some more mental fortitude, I guess. I can say that I did 100 miles, and there's not a whole lot that's going to be harder than that to do. So let me know what your goals are. Do you have a really big goal like that you're trying to achieve? Let me know. I would love to support you however I can, however you need support. If you want to do a training run together or something like that, I'd be happy to do that as well. Or just, again, help however I can, and, help people achieve their goals. That's what this is all about. I want to make a positive impact on the world. Hopefully this story inspires you to reach out towards your goals and push yourself to achieve everything that you want to achieve. So that's it. Thank you guys for listening. Episode 90 in the books, and we'll see you next time for episode 91, and soon for episode 100. Don't forget to let me know what you want episode 100 to be about. So have a good one, everyone. Keep traveling, keep pushing, pursuing your goals, and I'll see you next time.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon. Thank you to all the listeners and subscribers of this podcast. It's amazing that I get the opportunity to do this and, talk to all of these amazing people around the world and hear their stories and share it with you. It's been a dream doing this. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to keep moving forward with it. As always, the subscriptions, $3 of the monthly subscription goes towards providing school supplies to kids in need around the world. And I'll be providing more updates on those, on progress with that as time moves along. But again, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next week for another inspiring story and great episode. Have a great week. See you next time.